right, welcome back. Now for your questions, which I absolutely love. Question number one, do dogs have more rights in Anchorage than I do, or can't they sit on the sidewalk either?
You know, that wasn't addressed in the code, so I don't know what the mayor's stance or position would be on that.
I bet he's more of a cat person. I'm just guessing. Let's see. There's so many questions. Oh, for Vic Fischer, you ready? You got your seatbelt on?
I'll do my best.
All right, sugar, let's go. What is your reaction to the Mayor Sullivan's suggestion during the Education Summit that we may have to change the Constitution in order to allow school vouchers and privatize charter schools?
That's exactly the kind of stuff that does not belong in the Constitution. The Constitution gives basic rights, basic responsibilities of a state. It doesn't go into which school a person go to or what kind of a detailed system we have. The Constitution says there shall be a system of public education available for all children in Alaska. That's all it says. And you don't write a specific kind of a directive like that into the Constitution, which may be totally obsolete 10, 15, 20 years from now, even if it makes sense today. So I think it's just nonsense.
Can we quote you on that one?
You may.
I have an additional problem with that in that, you know, we elect a school board we vote for them because they're educated in school policy and know something about the subject, and they're the ones that should be taking leadership in this kind of thing. We elect the mayor to sort of run things overall, but he's sure no expert on education, as this proposal kind of suggests to me is the case. So what's he doing being engaged in this?
Just following up on that, I wonder why the mayor had an education summit, invited 100 of his friends behind locked doors, closed doors, and the public wasn't even invited or allowed to participate. And it just seems like a wrong approach to any kind of a public policy issue.
Yeah. You know, it seems strange to me having that whole forum where you had it where teachers couldn't come to it, and
I wasn't invited.
You weren't invited. You're on the assembly, and you're making a lot of these decisions and okaying budgets and everything else. I found it. Well, the fact that it was paid for with private funds that he went and got from Exxon and other places, I just thought this is just another way to privatize our.
Can I make a point real quick, too,
Please.
on public schools statewide? I graduated from Bartlett High School, and about 5 years after I did, there's a young man, Brian Schmidt, who later, just this past couple months back, was awarded the Nobel Prize for Physics.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure some of my brain cells left in that hallway. He probably picked up on it. And Bartlett, we got a Millikan Award teacher.
Phenomenal.
Exactly.
Supernovas.
A Millikan Award teacher just recently announced at Clark Middle School, I believe. And 2 neighbors next door, their boys, twins, now doctors, their dad's a doctor, all public school educated person. We've got a person who went to the moon, a NASA space shuttle astronaut who was also educated in public schools in Alaska. So we have some very good public schools. Yes, they have challenges, and yes, the budget's pretty large. But you know, what's the cost of educating a kid versus institutionalizing when things go wrong because you put in the chip.
You know what's interesting to me is I hear the KGOPers kind of talking about the fact that, well, the education budget's going up. It keeps going up. And I'm like, yes, do you know part of that budget is to actually heat the place? Has anybody else had their heating bills go up, or their fuel bills or electricity bills or anything else go up over the last 5 years?
Just a little bit.
More of a percentage than it's reflecting in that budget, and that's not even being brought in, and they're just going after it. But you know, as long as you can blame a teacher for not fixing all the ills in this country. Because I don't know if you've heard, teachers are greedy, and they just want all that money you get. That's what they say. I don't really believe it. I think teachers should be paid like rock stars. The mayor says Sheffield is not the guy responsible for the port problems. Can you explain why he's wrong?
Yes, I can, because he's trying to say that MARAD, the Maritime Administration, and ICRC, who are both contracted to be port project managers in the scope of the project itself, they didn't come to the municipality and say, you know, we've been looking around at ports, and we decided yours needed a little fixing up, and let us take over, step aside, and let us take care of this. This was, as Mr. Havelock said earlier, should have been an open competitive bid process with RFPs and the whole works, but this was decided by one person, supported by the administration, his boss. And to be fair, this has gone on for 3 administrations, over a decade. $300 million or close to it, dumped into a hole out there. The project is 3 times past beyond what the expected timeline of getting the project complete, and there's still problems with this port. And there's no wonder why the public are very frustrated at our government officials and the waste that goes on of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, and not one person can be held accountable and throw someone else under the bus. I'm sick and tired of it. I think it's time that we stand up and take accountability for our problems and quit choking on our tongue when we say we made a mistake.
Yeah. I can get behind that. It's funny, for all the rhetoric about being accountable and smaller government and all of these things, it seems as though there's some problems there. Why do we need legislation about something kids in America grew up doing? I grew up in New York City, and I guarantee kids are on corners for their parents in the corner store. This is, of course, the sidewalk ordinance. Well, aren't you fancy, whoever's from New York City? I grew up in Homer. We didn't have sidewalks. And you know what? I'm sorry. I really think that the mayor's just trying to show off to the rest of the state. He's like, look at us and our sidewalk ordinances with our sidewalks. Take that, Bethel. You know? Seriously. Is he just trying to show off that we've got sidewalks? It's like we've got a new car.
We don't have enough sidewalks, though. Believe me, I watch those pedestrians on the way to getting killed on snow berms.
Yeah. Just a quick question. Should the Chancellor of the University of California, Davis, resign?
Yes.
I don't think she should resign. I think she should be fired because in her contract, she will get $100,000 if she resigns.
Oh, no.
And if she's fired, she doesn't get it. I know, you got to read the fine print. So you guys think she should go, one way or the other?
Accountability.
Accountability. You're right. I mean, that's part of it. Okay, who's the person in charge? You know what? It's just like what happened at Penn State.
Penn State, that's right.
Like at Penn State, people are like, why are they going after Joe Paterno? Because he's been the guy, Joe Pa, Captain Football, for all these years. Yeah, it was on your watch. You got to go. We're going to run to a break. We're coming right back for just a little bit more time with our panel. Thanks for staying with us. Oh, my goodness. Welcome back to More Up North. I'm really glad you're joining us for this last segment with questions from our audience and ones we're just kind of making up. We might even start asking each other questions. How's that sound? I'm teasing. It could get randy in here. Questions. The Alaska legislature has violated the Alaska Constitution with a question mark from a 27-and-a-half-year Alaska resident because that's how we qualify ourselves here. It's like, how tall are you? I've been here for 40 years. A question about, we've had this question a couple of times, and I'd love to ask you guys this. Is it violating the Constitution and the oath of office for what the governor's doing, trying to give away the wealth of the state to corporations, and frankly, the legislature who's been sort of going along with that?
I think the Constitution is very clear in Article 8 on resources that the legislature will make sure that the resources are managed for the maximum benefit of the people. And giving away $2 billion without getting anything in return, $2 billion a year, I think is not just irresponsible, it's a violation of the oath of office, it's a violation of the Constitution, because the cost will be on the people of Alaska, because there's some vague hope that if we give Exxon $1 billion and $500 million to BP each year and $500 million to Conoco, they'll be nice to us and give us more jobs and more oil development, more production. They'll put the money into North Dakota or into Nigeria or someplace else, and our taxes are not too high. We have a tremendous PR campaign to try and kill our brains so that we go along with the oil companies on this giveaway. I'd say it's unconstitutional, and even if we can't get involved in a lawsuit against the governor on that, I think he should pay a political price if he keeps pursuing that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, John, you were Attorney General. You took these.
Yes. Well, there's no question that he's right, that it certainly violates the spirit of the Constitution. What bothers me about it is the number of people that have been sucked in by the oil company con. I mean, it's hard for me to believe how many people are that way. And that's sort of the function, of course, of what's going on in the streets of Anchorage. It's educating the public who is sitting back there. I mean, they're very busy trying to make a living and in hard times, and they're not aware of these policy decisions that are being made that are really against their interests big time. So it seems to me there's a public education job here to make sure that people understand that Les Gara has the right facts, not the oil companies, on what the effect of these tax reductions is.
Well, you know, last year we had Senator Wielechowski come in. It was just him for an hour here on More Up North, and he brought all the governor's charts.
Yeah.
And they said exactly the opposite of what the governor said they said. And it was like, how are they doing this? And I think there becomes a point where you just realize the governor, it's not that he's stupid, it's that he thinks you are. Otherwise, he wouldn't try to get away with this. And, you know, there's the Jason Moores and the Make Alaska Competitive, and they've got all this slick stuff. And people should really go to fixthetax.com and see that in North Dakota, they went and dug up one of their old governors, and he's traveling around North Dakota on a bus right now telling people if they don't lower the tax in North Dakota, the oil companies are going to move to Wyoming and to Montana because their taxes are lower. That's what's happening right now in North Dakota because they need to fix their tax. Make North Dakota competitive. I mean, it's never going to be enough. And until Alaskans realize that it's our, and thank you for doing that. I mean, it's pretty amazing that you guys got together and said, we are going to collectively bargain our mineral rights.
Well, the thing is, the Alaskans should be interested in maximizing our benefit, the money we get from oil production. And the corporations have their responsibility to their shareholders and the managers to maximize the profits that they get. And we can have a partnership. But for each of us is should be out to represent the people who put the person there, the negotiator. Our negotiator in chief is the governor, and we put him there. He should be fighting to get the maximum that he can get out of every oil barrel. And if he doesn't do that, he's irresponsible, and as somebody suggested, should be impeached.
Although I'm not on the state level, I will certainly say that what I believe is happening here is that people want to believe in their government. They want to trust that the people they vote for, that they're going to go represent them in their best interest. And all it takes is 5 or 6 well-placed, very professional people in an administration to carry the same message, and all of a sudden it starts taking on truth. And you repeat it often enough, and then all of a sudden fiction becomes fact. You see it here at the local level with the budgeting. We're being told we can't afford things, yet we're paying for those things. We're getting less services, and all of a sudden we now raise our hand and say we have a victory, a surplus, off the backs of the people's hard-earned tax dollars they're paying. Right. And this happens at the city level, at the state level, obviously at the federal level. And again, I go back to it's no wonder why people don't have a very good trust in their government, particularly when it comes to their money.
Right. And what is the old saying that, you know, a lie goes halfway around the world while the truth is still putting its pants on? Absolutely. And so, yeah, that's absolutely. One more question for you guys, and there's, you know, we could, people would ask you questions all night, but the bears have been out. My friend Harlow had a grizzly in his yard the other day up here in Anchorage, up on the mountain, and I'm like, it's cold and it's dark. What part of go to bed aren't they getting?
It's global warming.
Global warming.
You think?
Right. I mean, this is living proof that there is global warming.
It's called climate change, Vic, and because we're sure getting an awful cold winter here for a
Yes,
starter.
we are.
Right, no, I think you're right. I mean, for a long time it was called global warming, and that wasn't as, I mean, it's not as accurate as a term as climate change.
The
And it's
reason is
climate.
people are leaving their garbage out. That's why. That there's food around, people are leaving garbage out. The bears are going to, why take a nap when you can eat?
Are they just not getting enough to eat?
If you live downtown, you can leave your garbage out and the bears won't get it. So what we need is more people living downtown and get off the hills.
That'll solve everything. Now you're sounding like them when they're like, well, if it's too hard to live in Bush, Alaska, move to town. I'm like, do we really want that many people moving to town? I don't think we do.
Well, sure.
It's already crowded.
We can use higher density.
You think?
Yeah.
Just go up? What were you
Feel
going to
it.
say about the bears? I mean,
I'm wondering if they're just not getting the message that it is winter. It's time to go to bed. I don't know. Anecdotally, I think that you know there's something that needs to be studied here on it. But certainly people should just be bear alert. And I think John's right. Make sure you're continuing to be a little more alert and preventative in your garbage disposal and leaving things out that looks like food.
I'm wondering if they don't normally stay out, some of the bigger ones stay out a little bit longer, and then this year everything froze and snowed and they can't really get in as easily.
Oh, good.
And then, you know what? I don't want to be trail mix, so all you skiers out there doing your skiing thing, think that. I don't want to be trail mix for a bear. Be careful. We'll be back next week with more up north. Thanks so much for watching. Thank you to our panel.
Thank you.